Doki. Hello.
Brother Kunle, how you dey?
Doki, I dey okay o. But wait, Doki. Malaria dey kill person.
It's alright now. You look pregnant with gist. Sure, malaria kills. But Kunle, what is the reason for this your question?
Doki, I hear say one 8-year-old boy die for our streets. Dem talk say na malaria kill am, but I say e no possible. Most likely, na malaria wey come get typhoid join, and maybe dem no quick, attend to the boy, and the boy die. Matter just weak me.
Aha, Kunle. There goes the typhoid talk. The way you people relate malaria and typhoid, as though typhoid is the older brother of malaria that comes to join in a fight, always leaves me wondering.
Doki, no be our fault now. No be for lab and hospital where we dey go, dem go tell us say we get malaria and small or plenty typhoid. Wetin we know now?
Well, there is no denying that medical practitioners are a part of this misinformation. But anyway, let me re-educate you first about this typhoid issue before we go back on the malaria matter.
Okay, Doki, I dey hear you.
Malaria and typhoid, though they have similar symptoms, are two separate illnesses. Malaria is caused by a parasite referred to as Plasmodium species, which is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. Typhoid fever, on the other hand, is caused by a bacteria, Salmonella typhi, which is transmitted by contamination of food and drink by the feces of someone that is shedding the bacteria.
Doki, typhoid na from poo-poo, and malaria and typhoid no relate like that. Chai.
Yes, Kunle. And in fact, typhoid fever is not so common anymore in the cities and in the towns, because previously people used to take water for bathing, drinking and other things from streams where people pee and poo, and hand washing was not a major practice back in the day. With most of us eating well cooked food, whether home cooked or purchased at restaurants that may be fairly neat, and drinking packaged water, and with some restaurants subjecting their food handlers to certain tests to ensure they are not shedding the bacteria before they start serving you food. And of course, with the increase in the practice of hand washing, the rate of occurrence of typhoid fever is not as much as it used to be in the past.
Okay. Anyway, typhoid serious past malaria, abi?
Well, yes, in a sense, Kunle. Someone with typhoid fever is not likely to be at home taking oral medications, because someone with typhoid fever likely will be having temperatures hitting the roof. They could be vomiting, stooling, have terrible abdominal pain, and are so ill that they need to be admitted to the hospital. And if it's serious enough, the intestines can burst and the person could even die.
How one can explain this test wey people dey do? We go talk say they get small typhoid, abi na plenty typhoid.
Well, Kunle, this confusion is largely caused by the use of this Widal test, which is really not specific for typhoid fever. Firstly, while even malaria can cause the Widal test to be abnormal, the test is largely operator dependent, and the way it's being used now is not the way it used to be used in the past. In the past, we rely on what we call rising titers. That is, you do the test now, it's abnormal, you do it again, it's even higher than before, and then you look at it with the symptoms and you make a diagnosis. But these days, people just do a spot test that seems to be a bit abnormal, and then they give you the diagnosis of small typhoid or big typhoid, and almost always, malaria is positive.
Now wow, Doki. How they can diagnose this typhoid fever now?
Well, besides symptoms, which could be a pointer, a blood culture could be done, which will grow the offending bacteria, among a few other things.
Okay, now wow. Anyway, I don't hear you. But you talk say malaria they kill. How far that matter now?
So, Kunle, we speak of uncomplicated malaria. That is, malaria that just occurs and most times can be treated with just oral anti-malarial medications. Then we speak of severe or complicated malaria, which can be life-threatening.
Okay, yeah, break them down for me. I dey follow.
Well, Kunle, remember the red blood cells that we've spoken about before, that carry oxygen around the body and give the blood its red color? You see, in malaria, the parasites multiply inside these red blood cells till the red blood cells are so full that they burst, releasing more of the parasites into the blood, which go on to infect other red blood cells that have not been previously infected. The bursting of these red blood cells is often what coincides with the very high temperature that comes with malaria, which is the reason why it's very uncommon that you have someone who has malaria and doesn't have an elevated body temperature. Now, in some situations, this process can be so severe that so many red blood cells are destroyed and the blood level goes dangerously low. And if you remember, we had a discussion about jaundice the other day. Remember, we said jaundice is a product of the byproduct of breakdown of red blood cells. So in very severe malaria, there can be jaundice, okay? And the urine can become dark, like lictin or coke colored, because the destruction of the red blood cells is so much the body can't cope, and certain things in the red blood cell, referred to as hemoglobin, leaks into the urine, giving it a dark color.
Wow, Doki.
Well, Kunle, there is more. The parasites can travel into the brain and cause what we refer to as cerebral malaria, in which situation there could be convulsions. So you see, malaria, especially in children, can be very serious and even deadly if not promptly and well treated.
Now, wow, Doki. I sure say this anti-nurse adubo wey you dey talk about na part of the problem, because as I hear the gist, they first call one nurse make e come treat am for house, and of course na typhoid and malaria anti-nurse talk say im dey treat. Na when matter red, dem carry the pikin go hospital, and na like after 1 or 2 days wey the pikin reach hospital, na im the pikin die. And now with everything wey you talk, all the gist make sense. The pikin get convulsion before dem carry am go hospital, and dem talk say the pikin urine be like Coca-Cola. Me sef dey wonder say wetin be that. Anyway, sha, may God dey help us.
Well, Kunle, the hope is that people listen and correct all these wrong views and practices and get the right kind of help when needed. It's sad losing children to something that seems as simple as malaria, and it can be prevented. It can be stopped.
Doki, I hear you loud and clear. Now to go buy insecticide treated nets, protect myself and my family, and thank God, Doki. I get you anytime when I need treatment or advice. Doki, etik poju.
Thanks, Kunle, for the vote of confidence. Afternoon clinic starts soon. Let me sort out a few things before the clinic commences.
Doki, me self declare. We go to see later.
Hello, people. Hope you learned a bit from the series. Malaria, simple as it seems, can be a very deadly disease, especially in children. Nigeria, among other African countries, has the largest burden, partly because we're a malaria endemic region, which means that malaria occurs, almost through the year in our part of the world. But you see, the sad thing is that malaria is treatable, and if well handled at the right time, the right way, lives can be preserved. Firstly, the use of insecticide treated nets, ensuring that you don't have bush all over bushy areas around you, or stagnant water, are things that will help to reduce the load of mosquitoes around. But of course, in Nigeria, in some part of the country, we understand the limitations that exist. So the use of insecticide treated nets is a big plus. And also, I talked about typhoid fever, and I mentioned very importantly that malaria and typhoid are not brothers. And this Widal test that is out there that is causing this confusion needs to be taken out of use. There are better ways to diagnose typhoid, and like I said, they are two totally unrelated illnesses, though they have similar symptoms. Please let us ensure, very importantly, to stop the use of these community quacks. All these anti-nurse adubo, I've spoken over and over again about them. I've seen one too many children die because of mismanagement by this anti-nurse adubo before they present late to the hospital. Let us save the lives of our young ones and even the older ones. Go to the hospital to get the best care when necessary. It doesn't have to be a private hospital. There are primary healthcare centers around you. I can speak boldly about Lagos State. Please use the primary healthcare centers. They are fairly affordable. And of course, Lagos State has the Ilera Eco program out there, which is a health insurance program that can help you save up and spend less when you are ill. Of course, on the national level, we have the National Health Insurance Scheme, which I believe the federal government is working on to revamp and make it better and make it work for you. Or if you can afford to, try the personal, the private health management organizations, the HMOs, and get health insurance. It can be very helpful because nobody plans to be ill, and the truth is that healthcare is very expensive. We'll see you very soon. Kunle is coming back with another interesting gist. Stay tuned, keep watching, like, share, subscribe. See you later.